What's up everyone, I am Ahmed Khalifa and today I'm going to be doing a book review about Triggers by Marshall Goldsmith. It's a very good book. One thing that you don't think about is how much our environment influences our behaviour and the way we are, and it can also have an effect on just how you behave around other people, who you are, where you are, what you're doing. It just has a lot of influence on you and you don't really think about that until you read the book. So for example, say you're in one environment and in another, you probably think that you are just the same person throughout the changes. But if you think about it this way, when you are at a restaurant, you had a bad service or you got bad food, for some reason people think that they have the right to kind of act angry, they have the right to be all royal and just shout at the waiter, be possibly abusive maybe. And that's in one environment, which is at a restaurant. And then when you leave the restaurant, you are a different person. And you don't really think about what happened, but it happened. It kind of influences you because of your experience at the restaurant. Another example is, imagine you are going to a meeting with directors or your managers or your colleagues, and the temperature is either very cold or very hot, which means that people are uncomfortable, they just want to get out of there, they want to finish the meeting as quickly as possible. So things are not going to go as how you want it, and you're not going to have everyone react the way you want them to react about a project that you're excited about, or because of a temperature in your room. And speaking of a temperature, the book has given a case study about David Letterman, a chat show host, and apparently in the 80s he had experimented with the temperature, and he found that when the temperature is around 12 degrees Celsius, his voice is more crisp, the environment is better, and the audience are more lively. And that's why when he goes on stage, he wants the temperature of a room to be set at 12 degrees Celsius. And it just makes you think, because of how the environment is, he wanted to control it so that you have the right result from it. And that's the thing about the book is telling you, is that you should not only appreciate the environment and embrace it and throw yourself in it, of course, but it's also about making sure that you control the environment and create that environment, because if you don't control it or create it, the environment will control you. And as a result, the trigger, which is the emotion inside you, can come out, and it could be negative. And imagine if you are in a business situation or even at home, if the environment that you are in has triggered this negative emotion out of you, you are not the person who you thought you are. You're not the person who you want to be because of that environment, and it has triggered that emotion. So the book really makes you think about what you should do and how you should react and how you should control it as well. If you haven't heard of Marshall Goldsmith, he has written a number of books, but he is a coach and he helps top CEOs and business people to kind of be aware of their behavior and be involved in kind of like adult behavioral change, which, let's admit it, it's very difficult to do when you're an adult, to change your behavior, because you're kind of set in your way. Not impossible, but it's very difficult, and we are very good at making excuses toward a certain situation, or reject it, or just ignore it completely. But Marshall Goldsmith, what he does, he talks to clients, and for those who want to observe their behavior better, he gets the data, the intel from the relevant stakeholders. He talks to the colleagues, the directors, the managers, and you get all the data back and present it to the client. Hopefully the client will accept it, is more aware of it, and wants to do something about it. And that's where Marshall then will help that client to go through a set of exercises to better control your environment around you. But the key thing is though that you have to accept it, because it doesn't matter who you are, you will not change if you don't want to change, and no one can make you change if you don't really want to change at all. And that's just part of being human, I suppose. And of course the hard part is making that change permanent. And if you think about it, it's like, if you want to get fit, and there's a difference between you want to be fit and getting fit. You want to be in shape or getting in shape. Is that one is an ongoing process, and one is that you got there and then that's it. But then you can't just stop once you are in the shape that you want to be. You have to continue that exercise and diet, all that kind of stuff. The same thing with when you are going through a process of adult behavioral change, is that it's an ongoing process. You don't just reach to that point and then that's it. You have to keep going. And it's not just the environment, the kind of room you're in, the ambience as well. People can have that effect. And if you are at a workplace where you get along with everybody, everyone loves you, you all get along and you kind of get the job done, but there's that one person who you just can't stand, and every time you have that interaction with that person, you are a completely different person. And the thing is, other people notice that. So then you kind of blame that person. That's the natural thing to do. You put that person as a scapegoat because you want to look for a scapegoat. And if there's a scapegoat, there is someone to direct your anger, your feelings toward. If there's nobody, you don't feel like that at all. And there's one story in this book that I really like reading actually. And it's in a Buddhist, it's a kind of Buddhist wisdom, and it's contained in the parable of the empty boat. A young farmer was on a very small boat in a river fishing, and on coming towards him there was a big ship, a big vessel that was going toward him, and he tried to frantically make him change direction, and he didn't. He went straight at him and he had to jump into the water and the vessel hit the boat. And then he found that, he got himself very angry. He shouted at the boat and said, "You idiot, what are you doing? I told you from far away, get out of the way because you're going to hit me, and you didn't." What he didn't know was that the boat was is empty, and it had gotten loose from the harbour and it just went down the current, and he didn't realize it until later on. The moral of the story is, because there's something there to blame and he expected a person to be there, he reacted, and that triggered an emotion inside of him because of that environment, that situation. But because there's nobody in that boat, he didn't react. He was all calm, and it just made you think about, we behave more calmly when we learn that it's an empty boat. With no available scapegoat, we can't get upset. So the moral of the story is that, when you honestly assess yourself and the environment and the relationship between the two, this is how you become the person that you want to be. And the book really does, go into detail about how you can do that. There are practical steps that you can do, there are certain things that you should be aware of, and it just makes you think about how you are in a variety of different environments and how you behave in certain situations. It's really, really good book. And before you say, "Oh, I don't want to be a different person, I don't want to change as a person," it's not about changing you as a person, it's about being a better version of yourself, or the best version of yourself that you can be. And you can change, we all can change, it's not easy, and this is something that we have to be aware of. And if you think about it in another way, we are very quick to mock restaurants when they don't change a menu, but we're very slow to mock ourselves when we need to change something, and that's what the book tells you about. So check it out, it's Triggered by Marshall Goldsmith. If you go to the link down below, I have put a link in there for Amazon, and you can check it out yourself. I really, really recommend you give it a shot, and let me know what you think. If you've read it, or if you don't think it interests you, I'm curious to know why. Just let me know what you think as well. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel down below by clicking on that red button as well. And as I always want to say is, do your thing because it matters. And I'll see you next time.